The changes people face when they stop working are both mathematical and also mental. They're mathematical because you face obstacles like how you're taxed is slightly different for a retiree, like taxes on Social Security or unseen taxes that we talk about on other places on this channel. And the mindset changes because, well, for example, you go from receiving a check from your company to all of a sudden now you're the person sending yourself a check and dictating where that comes from. In this video, I'll go over some of the less obvious things that change for a person at the point of retirement. The good news is that a little bit of knowledge can go a long way and the solutions can be simple. So the first thing that changes, as I mentioned earlier, is how you are paid. So you go from receiving a paycheck from the company consistently to all of a sudden it's on your shoulders to decide how much money you're going to pay yourself, from which account you're going to take it from, how much you should take, and does it matter which account you take it from? And that can put a lot of mental angst on people. Number two, how you get raises. Maybe you asked for a raise, maybe it was built into your employer plan. Well, now you decide if you're going to give yourself a raise. How much are you going to give yourself? Are you going to keep up with inflation? Do you have some sort of methodology that you're going to use? Ultimately, you get to decide, but everybody needs to have some sort of a plan. A regular question that we hear a lot is, now that we talked about my financial plan, how is this going to work? And what they're really saying is, how do I get money from there to here, from my account to my paycheck? Number three, how you insure. Before you retire, you have a lot more life insurance, disability insurance. However, having a lot of life insurance is less important to a retiree usually. And for example, you won't need disability insurance because you're no longer working, so there's nothing to be disabled from. However, the shift goes from that onto budgeting properly for healthcare, long-term extended healthcare, and maybe final expense insurance. Number four, how you're spending. See, when you're working, you're distracted. You go to work, you come on to Saturday and Sunday, you tend to spend more money on Saturdays and Sundays. Well, I've got news for you. When you stop working, every day is Saturday or Sunday, and you're pursuing hobbies. So you have to pay attention a little bit more. And people say that they often find that they are not used to paying attention to what they're spending, because if you needed more money, you would just go work more, or there's usually an excess during your working years. So now transitioning to having a paycheck that you're dictating kind of plays on the mind a little bit. So there's some tracking that happens, and definitely a different relationship to how you're spending. Number five, how you invest. You see, you go from growth and growing your assets to growing your income. This is a shift that I don't think a lot of people talk about. And you hear it in people's language. So a lot of times, what got you to retirement was a target. Maybe you were saying, I really would like to see that account equal X or Y. And instead of saying that, we encourage people to shift it into, I really would like to have $130,000 income that goes up with inflation, right? So the goal shifts from accumulation of wealth to the growth of your income, which means the way you invest also shifts. You may have more dividend paying stocks, and there's definitely some adjustments that have to happen there. I also hear people say they'll shift their view from how much money did I make versus when can I go on my next vacation, or when's my next planned vacation, right? There's a shift from this conversation around what was my return on investment and did I beat this and did I equal that, to am I really enjoying my money, and are my goals really coming to pass? Because there is a difficult shift to start thinking about your goals coming to pass if you've been a really good saver. Number six, how you measure risk. You see, the definition of risk could be many things, but a very basic definition is a measure of volatility or the probability of permanent loss. And that really changes at the point of retirement because you're not going to go back to work. And so a better definition would be, what's the likelihood that I would have to change my lifestyle or run out of money? right? That risk is, what is the likelihood of me running out of money or having to change my lifestyle? Another good definition would be any decision that takes me further away from reaching my goals. That's risk. So that could be trying to time the bear markets. That could be chasing a particular stock, but it could also be deciding to move to a state that has higher state income tax versus the state that you're living in. So that comes down to your financial plan. Is the decision putting risk on me not reaching my goals? So I see people definitely relating to risk differently. And number 7, how you are taxed. You see, this one is not obvious, but it really does affect the math of your retirement. You see, what happens when you retire is you have, number one, you have these things called shadow taxes. And shadow taxes are most easily described as something that happens that you're just not obviously paying for. Like, for example, Social Security being included in your ordinary income and being taxed is an additional, it puts you in a non-intuitive progressive tax bracket, because you can be in a lower tax bracket and you think you're going to pull out an extra $1,000 and it's only going to be 15%. But because you're pulling more Social Security dollars to be taxed, you're actually paying a higher tax rate than you actually realize. And I talk about that in other videos about how Social Security is taxed, or Social Security phantom tax. Another shadow tax is the Medicare means testing. So if you have Medicare means testing, you could pay anywhere from a few $1,000s more per year to several thousands of dollars more per year for your Medicare, which comes out of your Social Security. So you have to pay attention to how you're taking your money out. Another way that taxes change at the point of retirement is your required minimum distributions can create surprises for you, where you end up having more of them than you can handle or wish to handle. And so you, as a retiree, have to be strategic about maybe spending some of that money earlier, or doing Roth conversions, or doing something strategic about the required minimum distributions. Another one is tax gain harvesting or tax loss harvesting. So now that you may be in a slightly lesser income situation, you might have some opportunities to harvest some gains at a lower tax bracket. And then lastly, and definitely not exhaustively or all inclusive, because there's so much with taxes, how you inherit that money to the next generation is a consideration, right? The rules are always changing. And so definitely a landmine to watch out for that changes for you for money at the point of retirement. A lot of these types of challenges are going to force the question, should you do it yourself or should you delegate it to a team? And if you delegate it to a team, that's where financial planners like myself and my team come into play. If you do it yourself, it's interesting because, I'm a do-it-yourself woodworker who builds desks and things like that. And I have to say that the first couple of desks that I built, even though I did them correctly, they don't look as good as the 6th and 7th and 8th desk that I built out of wood. And so we only got one shot to do this when we stopped working. And I find that experience goes a long way, and I'm more of in favor of getting some of the counsel that people need, especially when it comes to Social Security optimization and tax planning and tax optimization. Your financial decisions at the point of retirement rank up there with some of the highest, most critical decisions that I think a person makes, because the impact of your choices are so symbolic and noticeable, to your life and the kind of lifestyle that you can enjoy. And that's one of the reasons that we make these videos, so that you can retire with calmness and clarity. If you enjoyed this content, I put this stuff out on a kind of a regular basis. The only way I can make sure you get that is if you hit that subscribe button and turn your notifications on, so that the next time a video gets released, you're notified. If you want to know how to reduce taxes on your Social Security, I made a video about that, and I'll put it right here. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. If you'd like to see the way that we help people to create calmness and clarity for their next chapter of life, take a look at us at brindleandbay.com. Again, thanks for watching the videos. Please remember to subscribe, hit that notification bell so that you are notified every time a new video comes out.